Hey guys, this is Brian Guiney here. This is going to be a video tutorial that I'm going to show you guys exactly how to go about creating a very professional looking WordPress blog from scratch. Now I'm going to be showing you the quickest, easiest, and most efficient method of doing this that I know how. Now if you're new to internet marketing, I think there's a lot of great reasons why you want to build a blog. The graphic that you're looking at here is kind of this map of internet marketing, kind of marketing map that I kind of have in my head. I've been attempting to put it down on paper in some sort of visual form. This is kind of where I'm at right now. This is a very rough draft. But as far as I can tell, these seem to be the biggest outlets that successful internet marketers are using to find and connect with their customers. They have a main blog or a website, they use social networks, they all use a mailing list, and of course the Warrior forums. Now I'm sure there's some other ones out there too. I did have, like for example, Kindle Publishing. I know a lot of people use to put products in, and ClickBank, and I'm sure there's other avenues on the web as well. Like I said, this is just a rough draft, and for now, I guess these are the big four that I'm going to be concentrating on, the ones that I have represented in the big circles. And so as an internet marketer, I think the very first action step that makes the most sense is to just start building your brand. The brand of you, because you're going to be selling basically information to customers, and customers are going to want to know who they're buying from. They want to be able to relate to who they're buying from, and that's going to build trust, and it's going to improve your sales. It's going to make them more comfortable buying products from you. And when and even if you're not creating your own products, even if you're just affiliating and reselling other people's products, well, the same principles apply. If you're typing up a review of someone else's product, they wanna trust the reviewer has their best interest in mind. And so again, building your brand and building that trust is very important. And so I think the first thing you need to do is put up your own blog and start telling your story and start communicating with potential customers. So enough about why we're going to build a blog. Now let's just go ahead and start looking at what we need to do. Now the first thing you're going to need to do is register a domain name. I personally use 1&1 to register my domain names. You can also use GoDaddy or domain.com, or there's a bunch of other sites. These guys just are, if you price it out, these guys are the cheapest out of the big known sites out there, so that's why I go with them. Now the domain I chose for my personal blog is bgrs.biz. Now a lot of people, I guess, would probably pick a much longer domain name, and they try and cram some relevant keywords in there, and that's great. But I don't think your personal blog is the time or place to try and cram keywords into it. This is more of a brand that you're trying to build. You want it to be easy to remember, easy to type. You're probably going to be sending out emails from this address, so you don't want your email address to be super long. Another thing to keep in mind is that you may or may not become a subdomain person. I personally kind of like using subdomains and kind of breaking up my websites and products into different subdomains. So for example, when I start coming out with information products, each one of them is probably going to have its own subdomain. So it'll be like productname.mydomain.com or whatever. So to have it .bgrs.com, that'll help keep all my URLs short and nice and clean. So but the long story short, I don't think I'd recommend spending too much time thinking up a domain name. You could easily waste days on this, but just pick something and go with it. It's really a much smaller deal than most people make it out to be. So once you have your domain name, you're going to want to register it like I did here with 1&1. And now you need to actually set up some web hosting. Now you could use 1&1 for web hosting. I personally don't. I like them for domain registration. I'm not a big fan of them for web hosting. I personally like cPanel providers. The one I currently use is HostGator. Now I've used a lot of different ones before this. I think this is the best one all around as far as their balance between price and reliability and performance and support. HostGator just seems to be the best overall of what I have used personally. Now there's tons of options out there, so I don't think you have to do what I'm doing, but this is what I do. I would say things to look for is cPanel is by far my favorite hosting platform. So I always look for a host that does cPanel. And you want to get an account that has unlimited domains. So like if I was going from HostGator, I would get the baby plan. If I'm looking at these normal web hosting plans, the baby plan is definitely the one I'd go with. The hosting plan is going to only let you do one domain for that account. Now, as an internet marketer, you're probably going to be putting up a lot of review sites, product sites, what have you. Chances are you're going to have more than one domain. You're probably going to have a ton of them. So having unlimited domains is definitely going to come into play. Now, another thing you might want to consider is actually signing up for reseller hosting. This is actually what I do personally. I've been, an IT freelancer offline for the past decade, and so I've come into a lot of situations where I needed to sell people web space. A lot of small little websites I've built for small businesses around my area and stuff like that, and then they need somewhere to host it, so I'll sell them hosting as well. So I have a reseller account, and this might it's a good way to make passive revenue too. If you want, you can get into the web hosting business and put up a little your own hosting site and whatnot. And I'm not going to get into all that, but so that's definitely something to consider. But anyway, so once you have your account set up, then you need to link your domain to that account. So now the way you do this is through DNS records. Most people are going to use the name servers. If you probably look that up in some help file, it'll probably tell you to switch your name servers. I personally don't like doing that. One reason is I'm pretty impatient, and if you switch name servers, that's like a 48-hour or up to 48-hour transition period, and that's a long time to wait. Now, if you're just the other option you have is to just switch individual records. Let me kind of explain that. Name server is going to just basically point everything over to your web host, whereas if you just do individual records, it's just going to switch. It's just going to redirect certain protocols over to your web host. And the only protocol we really care about is the HTTP protocol. Because if someone's going to my website, they're going to be doing it through a web browser. They're going to be using HTTP. So all I'm really concerned about is the A record. And another good reason why I like doing it this way is I can utilize a different email host than what I do for web host. And I really like to use Google for my email host. Use Google Apps. You can get your own domain in there, and it's their free experience is better than most premium services out there. So I like to keep that separate. If I was going to set up some Google Apps with this domain, I would then go ahead and enter the Google MX records in there. But for right now, we're just going to look at the blog side of this. So I'm going to go ahead now and put my A record in here. You're going to get this information when you set up your hosting account. So if you set up with HostGator, they're going to give you an IP address, and that's what you're going to want to use. You can go ahead and ignore the name server IP addresses they use and just use the main IP address they give you. So the one they give me, I think I've filled this out a few times on other domains, so I got it pretty much in here. It's 143, and then I think this one's 242. Let me just double check that. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And now this varies. It doesn't seem to be very consistent. I've seen this happen in as little as 2 minutes, and I've seen this take more like 30 minutes before. So I might have to pause and come back here. But basically, it says updating. I can go ahead and check it out. Basically, right after you register the domain, it's just going to have that one-in-one splash page. Yep, that's what I have right now. And eventually, once my A record is active, I'll be able to refresh this page, and I'll see just an empty directory indicating that it's now going to my web host. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here, and I'll come back once this is ready.